Hello YouTube, this is Kezmaina. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a health and lifestyle channel where we talk and learn about different health conditions and lifestyle modifications to accommodate the same. Karibuni. If you're new here, welcome very much. Subscribe. Thanks for the support, and yeah, let's do this. Today we are going to talk about mental health and mental illnesses, which is something we talked about last week, and I am doing it again today because it's something I thought should be tied with the things that are happening in our society that could be tied to the mental status of our country or society. Let me say our society, because I think it's possibly happening around in many places. So yeah, so we'll go into the causes, where I will start with abuse and bullying. I've tied those two, and I'll say abuse is a form of bullying, and this could be happening at school from their peers, fellow students, from the teachers, even in the family. Bullying can happen, especially, unfortunately, in this society of ours. We've been accustomed to bullying that it has even gotten to our kids. So for example, you may find a fat kid being bullied at school for being fat, and it is not even their fault that they are fat, but they will be bullied. And definitely, if you're bullied, especially consistently, it will have a very big effect on your mental status. So bullying is one of them. Then abuse. There are so many sorts of abuse. Like, for example, there's sexual abuse, there's physical abuse, there's emotional abuse. Yeah, all those sorts of abuse are causes to mental illness. The other cause I will talk about is exposure to bad media. This could be porn, this could be graphic films or violent films. This will expose your child to the wrong sort of growing up. Not the kind of thing you would want your child to be exposed to at that tender age. The other thing is exposure to, will I say, the wrong culture. Let me call it the wrong culture, because it's sort of a culture. How maybe you grow up in a society where a man beating a woman is normal. It's termed as disciplining them. And well, if your child is growing up in such a society, they'll grow up thinking that it's a normal thing and it's something that should be done. While in essence, domestic violence is not something that one has to grow up with or deal with or be part of at any point of life. Another thing on the wrong culture is violence and alcohol and drug use. This is, well, maybe it may seem normal for, maybe we used to think when we were children that alcohol is for men, because I don't know, I think it's because nowadays women drink. I also drink, but kitambo, before you found a woman who was drinking, when we were young, that is, before you found out a woman is drinking, I think they were also drinking. We just didn't know they were drinking. So again, it kind of came out as cool. Well, drinking is not bad, but then we are not trying to introduce our young children to drinking alcohol at a tender age, or even using any other drug. So I think for the causes, I'll get to that point. And then the next thing I will talk about is symptoms, the symptoms of mental illness. And remember, I've said today we are going to be talking mainly on children and young adults, because I think it would be best if we notice these things from the base as we go up, because definitely hao watu walikuwa wadogo wakagrow, and mental issues do not only affect a certain age group or a certain type of person. It can affect from the child going all the way. It doesn't have a preference. It doesn't have some kind of person it tends to affect. So among the symptoms that we'll talk about is withdrawal. If you notice that your child is being withdrawn, is keeping to themselves, usually this is sudden. This is someone who was a bit lively and interacting with other people, and then suddenly they've changed and they now are keeping more to themselves. They are locking themselves in a room. You don't know what they're doing inside there. If you notice something like that, you need to find out what is happening. Another thing is change in eating habits. We talked about this last time, and I'll talk about it again today. If your child could have been bullied at school about being fat, and now when they, with their attempt to try and maybe stop being fat, they might stop eating or drastically reduce their eating. So if you notice a change in your child's eating habit, address that, talk to them, find out what is happening, and help them through it. I'm going to talk a little bit more on that later on, but try and help them through it. Another thing, if you've noticed your child is using drugs, whether it's alcohol, your child or young adult, I think I'll keep reminding myself to put that in there, young adult as well. If you notice they're using drugs, could it be alcohol or any other drug? I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Yeah, and also I think another thing is poor performance in school. Yes, poor performance is something that needs to raise your eyebrows. If your child was performing really well and now suddenly their grades are going down, don't just attack them. Find out why your grades going down. It could be that the subject that they're failing is not even hard, but maybe huyo mwalimu wako na maneno na yeye. Or maybe they're failing all subjects and it's because of something else that its cause is not in school, but it could be elsewhere. So try and find out exactly what is happening. Another symptom I will talk about is unusual aggressiveness. This is a person who was possibly calm, maybe the normal sort of calmness, and now they are suddenly aggressive and bitter, and they will not listen to you, they will not follow your instructions. If something like that happens again, usiende na kiboko kwanza jaribu kujua ni nini. Okay, wengine wanataka tu kukua watundu, but before they start being just watundu, maybe find out first, is it just that they want to be disrespectful, ama kuna kitu inafanya wana behave hivyo, and then tackle it as when you find out what exactly is happening. Yeah, I think for the symptoms we are done. The next thing I will talk about is effects and implications mental illness has on the society, and I will start with number one is suicide and murder. Let me talk of suicide first. Suicide will happen to a person who something has happened to, and they tend to be withdrawn and keeping to themselves. This kind of a person will tend to have an impenetrable personality. Yani someone you cannot get to. They tend to work a wall. You cannot get to them. You cannot even try and understand them. That is the kind of person who will bottle up their issues, and then if it afika a point they will feel like this is the end. That kind of a person will end up committing suicide, because at the back of their mind they are thinking, even if I die today, no one is going to miss me, no one even cares about me. So that's why I think there are a lot of suicides going on around. Yeah, another thing now is murder. Remember, for suicide, this is someone who is feeling like something that happened to them is their fault. They tend to blame themselves, so they don't feel the need to address it with someone else. So wanafikiria, if I just finish this off, then the problem is sorted. And now there is murder. Murder happens when something has happened to someone, and they tend to view it as the fault of either the society or anyone else but themselves. So they will be walking around very bitter, and they will want to take revenge on maybe the person who did them wrong, or the people who did them wrong, I don't know. Yeah, which is, well, not a good thing, but I think it's also happening around. Yeah, the other thing is crime Crime again this is someone who is also not taking the blame, but kind of blaming the others. Crime and arson, I think I'd put them in the same, kwa sababu sasa they will use it as a form of punishing the society or the people they think are at fault for their misfortunes or miscomings in their lives. Yeah, so yeah, that is one. Another thing is depression. Depression could lead to suicide or these other things. Panic attacks and excess bitterness. This is also maybe from someone who will think that something happened to them, they did not deserve it, and now they go around being bitter to everyone, even someone who has not triggered something in them, or maybe they've not even talked to you, but they just feel it was someone like you who did this to me. So it's, for example, if someone went through rape at some point, they might have a bitterness towards the opposite sex or the gender that did that to her, so atakuwa tu ako bitter all through. Another thing is sexual abuse. This is now someone who went through sexual abuse maybe as a child, and they think it's only fair that since I was abused as a child, I can maybe pay it back or pass it down. I know it's a very twisted way of thinking, but it is happening. Yeah, you find someone saying that I was abused, so I am abusing others. It is not good, it is not fair, but it's happening. It's something that is happening in our society. Yeah, and I think in the implications and effects of mental illness in the society, I'll cap it at that. And next I will go to prevention and intervention. Yeah, prevention and intervention. Today I'm not going to say prevention, diagnosis and treatment, because I think someone brought your word intervention to me. So how you can prevent and intervene before it's too late, before it goes too far. So the number one form of prevention is making sure that the environment your child is growing up in is safe and friendly. Yeah, that is safe from domestic violence. Okay, why are we being violent kwanza? Kwa nini tunapigana? I think things should be sorted verbally, and let's just not expose our children to domestic violence or any form of violence if we can do that, if we can avoid it. Abuse, any sort of abuse, be it sexual, be it physical, yeah, let's just try and also be a bit observant of over the change in your child's behavior. If they start withdrawing, if there is a drop in their grades, you need to be observant and try and know what is happening. Kwa nini grades zina drop? Ama kwa nini unajieka? As in, why you isolating yourself? Why you withdrawing yourself? Why you locking yourself up in your room? Also, why are you not eating? Change ata eating habits ni vitu za kukua observed. Change, observe, search and probe. Find out what is going on. Another thing is teach your child at a very young or tender age that their private parts are private. They are not to be touched by a teacher. They are not to be touched by any other, hata kama ni uncle, auntie, adults. Even their peers that they are playing, ni zake, si za kuenda wakicheza nazo huko nje. So this one will help them know when something has happened, and they will know when to talk to you and tell you, hey, mommy, this and this happened, and I don't think it was a good thing. Yeah, so teach them at a tender age to know that their private parts are private parts. So if sexual abuse is happening, if it happens, or if someone makes an advance, first of all, they will know to say no. And second, they will know to report that person or that incident. Yeah. The other thing is have conversations with your children. Conversations, don't just talk to them. Have a culture of conversing or having a talk with them. Give them your view. Try and understand where they're coming from. Try and understand the things they are going through in their lives, be it at school, be it in the playground, be it around the home. Maybe ulikuwa job na walikuwa nyumbani na house help. Try and understand what goes on when you're not around from your child's perspective. They will give you information that you may not even know from others. Also, the same point, believe your child. First of all, I tend to think before your child, first of all, if your child is not a liar, kuna watu wanapenda kudanganya, it's like it's in them. So believe your child and maybe be investigative, and also don't show your child hapo kwa macho like you're doubting them. Their trust in you will go down. So if your child approaches you with something, remember you've already created a culture of you've already shown them that you're approachable. So that means if they're having any issue, they will be able to approach you. So once they've approached you and they have brought an issue to you, don't be doubtful to them. Even if something is not adding up, utafanya research ujue na hii kitu ni ukweli ama huyu naye alikuwa ananicheza. But don't upfront block them ati when now unanidanganya. Don't be doubtful, at least not in their faces when they are telling you this thing, because now that might break their trust, and when something happens in future, they may not be able to approach you, because at the end of the day they'll say hata nikisema hata niamini. Yeah, so I think conversation is one big vehicle or one big chunk in trying to prevent and maybe intervene when we are talking about mental health. Another thing maybe we should talk about is encouraging physical activity. First of all, this will help them improve their social relations, their social skills will improve if you encourage them to have physical activity. This means at school they are involved in a sport or two. Maybe it could be soccer, it could be nini ingine, swimming, sports zote mimi sijui ni sports ngapi ziko huko, lakini I know there are so many. Just encourage your child to be involved in different sports, and also physical activity ina involve. Kwanza, first of all, limit TV time. Mtoto asikue kwanza wakiwa holiday ati atashindanga kwa TV. Like we said, there's a topic about childhood obesity. We talked about slotting TV time. This will limit the amount of time your child is on the couch watching, and also it will encourage them aende acheze hata na watoto wa neighbor. Hapo hiyo kuvutana and kucheza it improves their mental status, and also their social skills tend to improve. And also at the end of the day, their physical well-being ina improve, because si wanacheza and well, tulisema to prevent childhood obesity na physical activity. And let me go back a little bit about it's not even going back, ni kuendelea. Another thing about on intervention. Now we said talk to your child or talk with your child. So a child may come and approach you and tell you that I was bullied at school because a friend of mine called me fat, or a classmate of mine called me fat, and it has been happening for about a week. So remember we said start noticing when there are changes in your child's behavior. So you probably have noticed that your child is not eating probably as much as they were eating. So you are having this conversation and they open up to you and tell you, nilikuwa bullied shule, so mi naona nipunguze kukula, maybe nitaacha kukua fat. Well, it is your role as a primary caregiver or parent to explain to them and help them understand if they are obese. There's a chance they could be obese, or maybe they're just big boned, ni mkubwa tu, but hajapita ile kilo yenye inafaa. So first of all, if they are obese, help them understand that this is something that we are going to work on, and that doesn't mean that you stop eating ama you drastically reduce the amount of food you're eating. You explain to them kutoka sasa, or that's why I've been doing this. Maybe it's not the time you're starting it. Maybe you had started incorporating excuse me, incorporating a healthy diet in their lifestyle. So you will explain to them, that's why we have been doing this, to help you with your weight. And or maybe now you're starting, so you'll tell them, this is why I want us to do this. This is why I also want us to start a bit of exercise. Tutaanza kucheza mpira nini nini, I'll buy you a bike, you'll start riding and such. Help them understand. Remember, at the end of the day, these children are human, ni binadamu, na ukikalisha mtu chini umweleze hii na hii, sitaki ukule ice cream kila siku, sitaki ukunywe soda kila siku, sitaki, because not just sitaki and you leave it at that. You tell them, the reason I'm limiting this is because of maybe your weight or other health issues. You will tell them, you'll understand. By the way, go back to my the other one, video on childhood obesity, and learn 1 or 2 things about childhood obesity prevention and its causes. That one will apply. So now, for the other person who is not obese, but they are definitely bigger than their peers, this one just needs reassurance. They really do not need a lot of ihitaji such a big intervention. Just reassure them and give them some boost of their confidence. Boost your self-esteem yake. By the self-esteem is something very important for your child. Kutoka akiwa mdogo, as they grow, that will determine the kind of interactions they have and all those things. So yeah, let's try and boost their self-esteem as much as we can. So kwa intervention tumemaliza kweli? No, did I talk about incorporating a healthy diet? Yeah, this one will help them. Maybe hiyo na maneno ya obesity and yeah. Yeah, I think we are done on intervention. The final now sort of intervention I will talk about is now all the things I've talked about hapo juu ni before. That is, maybe if you're noticing these things, or maybe hata kama bado uja notice, but you can now start incorporating them, so that if something is to come up, your child will be able to approach, or you will be able to identify. But now the final one is now for after. If you've already noticed and you've noticed there is a problem, that is, it could be even drugs, it could be even porn. Remember, siku hizi watoto wetu wako na masimu, they could be accessing these sites. If they are watching porn, they could be masturbating and stuff. Now that is when now you may need therapy for this child. And most of the time, it won't need medication. It might just need you to consult your primary healthcare provider. It may help if it is someone your child is more used to, because they may find it a little bit easier to open up. But your healthcare provider will tell you if it's something he himself can handle. If it's not something he or she can handle, they will refer you to someone with the right capacity of knowledge and know-how of dealing with that. But if you feel like this is something I cannot handle myself, kindly consult, get therapy for your child. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think we are done with that for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and insightful for you. Thank you for watching. Kindly remember to subscribe, share, and like. Also, our comment section. The previous 2 videos I had somehow, I'm not used to this YouTube thing, by the way, but I had somehow turned off the comment section. But someone, Devi by the only idea, someone helped me get the comment section back on. So this one I will not turn them off, and even if I do, sasa najua how to undo it, but I don't plan to turn it off. So anyway, comments, ask questions. Yeah, thank you. Subscribe and